The quality is so bad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We'd like to welcome you again to our second session of this course, and today we will be discussing how not to time out in the month of Ramadan. Simple maths. How much time do we have? What do we have to do? And the Sheikh will share some practical tips with us. Again, we want to welcome the Sheikh. Please welcome the Sheikh with a loud salawat. As always, if you have any questions, you can always, if you're in the crowd, you can raise your hand, or if you're online, you can write it on the chat. And inshallah, the Sheikh will get to it at some point. Hassan.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. So in the last session we spoke about having a timetable, the importance of having a timetable, how to make use of this timetable by not being lazy. We spoke about these things. In today's discussion, what we're going to be speaking about is specifically how this applies to the month of Ramadan. And then a good part of the discussion will also be explaining the different parts of our timetable. So what we felt was from the session 2 days ago, the essence of having a timetable was explained, the fact that we all need a timetable. The fact that we need to follow a timetable was also explained. But then what this timetable actually consists of, we spoke very vaguely about it. We spoke very generally about it. Yeah. Okay, so let's start. See, what's important to note is that, let's do some simple maths over here, right? First of all, how long do we have of this month? Whenever we want a timetable or a schedule, what we need to do is, first of all, we need to see how long we have and what we need to do, right? The two elements of a timetable. Anytime you want to, for example, let's say you want to find out the density of an object, right? You have the mass and you have the volume, right? These two sides of the equation give you the answer. We have this much space, we have this many things to fill in, right? For example, easier than density and mass and volume, you have a baggage, you have a suitcase, and you can put in how many kilos in it and how many kilos do I have, right? Very simple maths. How much space does it have and how much stuff do I have to put in? See, the month of Ramadan is 1 month, right? That's a very obvious answer. The month of Ramadan is 1 month. And we've passed of that already. A few days have already gone. We've already reached the 4th night tonight, which is 13.3 recurring % of the month passed. So we've passed 13% roughly of the month. We have the rest, which is 86.6 recurring % left. What does that mean? That means that we've passed a good part of it. We have a good part of it left as well. What do we have to do in this month? But in reality, let's ask this question slightly broader than that. Let me mention a quick story that's a very beautiful and inspiring story and move on to our discussion today. One of the great alims, Imam Khomeini, which we all are familiar with, once they asked him that if you were to find out right now that you only had a few days left to live, right? You have a few days left to live. What changes would you make in your life that would affect your life? Right? Most of us would have some sort of reply over here, right? But Imam Khomeini came up and said that I actually wouldn't change anything in my life. I'd live exactly as I'm living just now. So the month of Ramadan is a start point for us, but the end of the month of Ramadan shouldn't be the end point. If we're actually planning to change our lives in this month, inshallah, which we all are doing, then we have to continue this change throughout. If we feel that, for example, for a month, we're going to be in a certain way, and then after that, we'll just go back to our normal lives and it's going to have an effect on us, that's not the case. We have to continue. We have to plan and live our lives in a way that if somebody, this is the final goal, right? If somebody came and asked us that, you have a day left, what would you change? We turn around and say that, I wouldn't change anything. That's exactly how I want to be living. Of course, that's tough to get to, but that's our goal. When it comes to the month of Ramadan, I'm trying to draw the same example over here, that we should live in the month of Ramadan and stay in the month of Ramadan in a way that we continue after the month of Ramadan. Obviously, there's certain things that are specific to the month of Ramadan. For example, after the month of Ramadan, please don't force yourself to have a meal at 7 p.m. or whenever your iftar time is. You can have your dinner whenever the set time for dinner is. For example, in the month of Ramadan, we try and recite more Quran, which is important, and we should do that. After the month of Ramadan, maybe we won't be able to continue the same amount. But the general trends that we're setting, the general laws about our timetable apply within and after the holy month. So we have to, the key is in the month of Ramadan and after the month of Ramadan. See, you know how we said that the handful shows what the sack has. Remember we mentioned this? The same way, a day of the month of Ramadan also shows the whole month of Ramadan. For example, if you've planned for your Mahe Ramadan schedule, that every day you'll recite one juz of the Quran, you'll, for example, do this, this, this. And then this, when you look at it as a whole, you're planning to sleep 5 hours a day in the month of Ramadan. You're planning to, for example, go to work at an unrealistic time. All the same points that we mentioned apply over here as well. That you can't work like that. It's not going to be possible. Over a stretch of a month, we won't be able to pull that. So what we need to do is pace ourselves. We need to plan our life in a way that, and plan our schedule in a way that we achieve what we want to achieve. The key is this. This is the sentence that we're going to be speaking about over and over today in different examples, different parts of our life. Achieve what we want to achieve what we are setting out to achieve realistically. This is what we want to speak about, inshallah. So how much time do we have? With this equation, with this new lens, we're actually now looking at our whole life. We're not only looking at the month of Ramadan. Obviously, all the points apply in the month of Ramadan, but let's look at it broader so that it's more applicable to our whole life. What do we want to do? We want to plan our life, or plan our day in a way that we're able to achieve our goal. Remember, we said that we have a goal in mind, and we said that each day adds up to show whether we're going to achieve that goal or not. If we've, for example, we want to become a person that is close with the Quran, right? We need to put aside a few minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day to recite the Quran. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. We spoke about this, right? Now, the question that comes up today is, what is our goal? So we're actually applying what we spoke about in the previous session and making it tangible for ourselves. Our goal, if you ask most Muslims, they'll say somewhat seeking proximity to Allah, nearness to Allah, closeness to Allah. A lot of these answers are not actually understood by us. There's something that we've just been taught to say. But in reality, we have to understand this. And we have to really see, is this my goal in life or not? Very quickly, why should this be my goal in life? The human being has the ability to reach whatever they set their mind to. in terms of perfection, in terms of abilities, in terms of levels. And the most complete and the highest level and the highest entity and the most perfect entity is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why if we set our goal up there, that would be the highest goal that a person can achieve. That's a quick summary on why this is our goal in life. But that's not our discussion just now. Let's move ahead. The question is, how do we get there? How do we get to that point? Okay, that point is nice. We want to get there. How do we get there? One quick way of looking at it in line with our discussion is we need to follow the path that Allah has set out for us, right? Allah has told us to do some things, stay away from certain things. Whether it comes to prayers, whether it comes to fasting, whether it comes to school, whether it comes to university, whether it comes to my workplace, whether it comes to my home, my spouse, my children, my parents, my friends, my co-workers, all of these, there's do's and don'ts that Allah has set for us. And we said that our schedule is a glimpse of our whole life, right? We said this as well. So putting all of these together, this is the question that we want to answer today. What should my schedule look like to achieve that goal? This is a question that we want to conclude today. What should I draw up my schedule like in order to achieve that goal in life? What should be in the schedule? What shouldn't be in the schedule? And how much and how often should this thing be in the schedule if it's something that's required? And Mahe Ramadan, the month of Ramadan, which is a month of resolutions, it's a month for us to practice. It's a month for us to be hopeful of change. The same way we have New Year's resolutions and people in the new year, they make resolutions and they try and act by them. In the month of Ramadan also, we should have resolutions because in essence, this is the beginning of the spiritual year. So what we're going to discuss is this. What should be in my timetable for me to aim and reach to that lofty purpose? The timetable will obviously consist of the different elements of my life that are required for me to reach up there. Some of these elements are physical, some are spiritual. So we're going to split these into two categories, the physical needs and the spiritual needs. Just to explain this a little more, this is really important to understand over here, that when it comes to achieving our purpose in life, what role does the body play over here? We can easily say that because the journey towards the highest level that we want to achieve is a spiritual journey, the body has no relevance. Put the body aside, throw the body in the bin. But when we look at Islam, it's completely the opposite. Islam says that it's through this body that you can achieve the higher levels. If you don't take care of this body, you won't be able to achieve anything. That's why we need to, a good part of our timetable will cater to taking care of our body. Why? Because the body is the mount that we'll use to achieve and reach that higher purpose. This is a very important point. There's a beautiful hadith as well. Somebody came around Imam Ali. We know that in Nahj al-Balagha, when it comes to the world, Nahj al-Balagha is very strong against the world, right? It says the world is like a snake, the world is like this, there's so many things. Somebody came to Imam Ali and he started speaking against the world. He said the world is a place for this and it's very bad. And Imam Ali turned to him and told him, sort of, if you want to say it like we do, what are you on about? You know? What are you saying? Like, where do you get that from? And then Imam Ali tells him that this world is the means that you can use to reach the hereafter. This world, let me read a few of these lines. It's a beautiful sermon of Nahj al-Balagha. It's a long one. I've not brought it in PowerPoint. It's only in my notes. Oh, how did that happen? They've put the wrong PowerPoint. Can you tell them to? There's a second PowerPoint that I sent to. He'll fix it. Okay. I took it out of the PowerPoint and put it into my notes because the screen gets very, very full. Imam Ali says, Inna dunya daru sidqin liman sadaqaha. This world is a place of truth for the one that is truthful with this world. You look at the world properly, there's no issues with it. وَدَارُ عَافِيَةٍ لِمَنْ فُهِمَ عَنْهَا. The one who knows how to deal with this world, it's actually a place of opportunity. It's a place of peace. وَدَارُ غِنًى لِمَنْ تَزَوَّدَ عَنْهَا تَزَوَّدَ مِنْهَا. It's a place of treasures and riches for the one that takes advantage of this world. وَدَارُ مَوْعِظَةٍ لِمَنِ اتَّعَظَ بِهَا. It's a place of lessons for the one who takes lessons. This world isn't to be insulted. This world is an opportunity for us. And then Imam Ali goes on to say, beautifully, Masjidu Ahibba'illah. The people who loved Allah and love Allah, this is the place where they did sajda and got close to Allah from. وَمُصَلَّى مَلَائِكَةِ اللَّهِ. The place where the malaika prayed upon is this very earth. وَمَهْبِطِ وَحْيِ اللَّهِ. The wahy of Allah came upon this earth. وَمَتْجَرُ أَوْلِيَاءِ اللَّهِ. And it's the place where the close people of Allah did their business. This is the place, there's their marketplace. What does that mean, their business? اكتسبوا فيها الرحمة وربحوا فيها الجنة. This is the place where they attained Jannah and the proximity of Allah from. This world is not a small place. It's not something we just say, forget it, I'm working for my spirituality, forget about this world. No, that's not what Ahlul Bayt teach us. That's why Islam gives a lot of importance to fulfilling all of our physical needs. Everything, to fulfill them in the correct way in order for us to progress. There's a quick analogy over here that we can think about some more. If you look at an animal, I just saw this 4 days ago or so, just before the first of the Mahe Ramadan. An animal, when they've eaten their food, they've had their water, for example, any other needs they have are fulfilled, they lie down and they don't do anything, right? They just lie down, curl up in the corner, and they're satisfied. But the human, when they've fulfilled their needs, essentially that's the time for us to start rising now. That's the time for us to progress. This is a base for us to spring upon. We have to jump up on this base. This is what this dunya is. We have a very beautiful ayah of the Holy Quran, Surah Qasas, verse 77, where Allah is saying that, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, وَابْتَغِ فِيمَا آتَاكَ اللَّهُ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ. In everything that you have in this world, seek the akhirah. Right? This is our goal, and it makes full sense. It's a beautiful verse. But look at the rest of this verse. وَلَا تَنْسَ وَأَحْسِنْ كَمَا أَحْسَنَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْكَ. Do good the same way Allah has done good to you. وَلَا تَبْغِ الْفَسَادَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Sorry, I missed the part in the middle. وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. But do not forget your portion of this world. What does that mean? That means that if you want to reach the lofty goal, you have to take care of this world. You have to plan for this world. You have to live correctly in this world. Only if we do that can we achieve the lofty goal. That's why when somebody came to the Imam and asked the Imam, what does this verse mean? وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيا. The Imam told them, لَا تَنْسَ صِحَّتَكَ. Don't forget about your well-being. You have to live in a way, you should be well. You shouldn't be unwell. You shouldn't be sick. وَقُوَّتَكَ. And you should be strong. You shouldn't be weak. وَفَرَاغَكَ. And don't forget your free time as well. You need some free time for yourself. وَشَبَابَكَ. Don't forget your youth age. You need to pay attention to your youth age. وَنَشَاطَكَ. Your energy. Don't forget about your energy. You need that excitement, that energy in your life. وَغِنَاكَ. And the fact that you should be well-to-do. You should have sustenance for yourself. وَأَن تَطْلُبَ بِهِ الْآخِرَةِ. And to seek through all of these, the akhirah. So we need to have health. We need to have wealth to a good extent that we're living happily. We need to have relaxation. And we spoke about this yesterday as well, right? Through relaxation, a person can achieve further, right? That's why it is all necessary for us to achieve more. So let's go over the different needs that we have, our physical needs that need to be achieved in this world for us to be able to achieve our lofty purpose. One, we need to have a schedule about our work and study. Now, this is the same in the month of Ramadan and outside the month of Ramadan. Why do we need to work and study? This is really important. Now, rather than just doing work or studying because everyone does it and something that we have to do, we'll do it for a purpose in order to achieve our higher purpose. It puts everything in life into perspective. And when we do this, we'll find that actually work and study now, I'm more energetic about it than I ever was because it's got a true purpose. Why do we need to work? One, to fulfill the needs of society. This is something often overlooked. Why am I, for example, an accountant? Because in society, people need to have accounts. They need to have keep track on their financial progress. Why am I a doctor? Because people get unwell. They need help. Why am I a car mechanic? Because people's cars have issues. This, in fact, should be the first purpose behind our job, where often this isn't. And the same with a person who, for example, is working at home. Let's say a person is a mother. A person is, for example, let's say a teacher. Let's say a person is a doctor. All of these, again, the same thing. Teachers are needed in society. Mothers are extremely required in society, right? And through this, in fact, this is a responsibility itself upon us. Allah, as each and every one of us, as a member of society, has put it upon us that we fulfill the needs of society. And by doing this, by me going to work, by me studying to get to work and to be able to serve the society, I'm actually fulfilling a need of society that Allah has put on me. Now imagine if we looked at work like this. It makes a big difference. You know how much career choice would change if we looked at things like this? It would completely have an overhaul in our career choice. Complete overhaul. A person would feel that they're doing service and helping the people that Allah wants me to help in their lives. Imagine going to work like this. How different would it be? Right? Let's say a person is a banker, right? Every day you just turn up at 7 in the morning, do your deals and you leave and you're gone. But now imagine a person is a banker. He sees that a person is coming to me to get a loan for their child's operation. And I'm the one that's facilitating that loan. I'm actually helping that person's child be cured. How amazing is that? And on the flip side, if I saw somebody that wants to misuse the money, I'm just a banker, who cares? No, now I feel a sense of responsibility. And I want to stop that in my legislation. Obviously, it's out of my legislation then. I can't do anything about it. This gives purpose. And there's so many ahadith about helping each other. There's so many strange ahadith about the rewards of helping another mu'min. How many hajj and how many umrah and how many years of i'tikaf, months of i'tikaf. We have 2 months of i'tikaf if you help a mu'min in their needs. Now, again, this helps in a different light as well. For example, recently, let's say a person is newly married, okay? Let's say a female, right? A woman, she's newly married. She doesn't have children. She says, I don't have to do anything because my husband is earning, alhamdulillah. I don't have children to take care of. I don't have too much to do at home. I can just sit back and watch movies the whole day. But then this comes up. Work wasn't only for money. Work is actually to help in the society. Can you help in the society? Yes. Then you have to help in the society. It's our responsibility. See, looking at things with a different lens makes a big difference. And if this is our intention, this is worship in itself. This is ibadah in itself. But we also have another purpose in working. We need to seek provision. We need to seek wealth so that we can carry out our different needs. After this, we're going to be speaking about food. If you don't have money, where are you going to get food from? After this, we're going to be speaking about recreation, about fun. If you don't have money, how are you going to go on trips? How are you going to have fun? After this, we're going to be speaking about, for example, sleep. Okay, if you don't have money, where are you going to sleep? Where's your shelter? You don't have any shelter. So we need provision as well. So there's 2 main purposes in working and studying. And Allah wants us not to rely on other people. In fact, we have a hadith that the person who strives to earn so that they can achieve provision is like a mujahid in the way of Allah. Al-kaddu ala ayalih kal-mujahidi fi sabilillah. It's not a small reward. It's not a light reward that's being mentioned over here. And on the other side, we have a hadith that a person who doesn't take care of the people that are leaning upon him is mal'oon. A person who doesn't watch out and take care of the people that rely on him is mal'oon. So work is important, studying is important, and it takes up a big part of our day because of its importance, right? But we shouldn't forget this isn't the goal. We're looking at it in a holistic manner, right? We said there's a goal. These are things that allow us to make the base for us to achieve that goal. But in a lot of people's lives, work itself becomes a goal. This is now a problem. This is now not Islamic. This is a schedule that may work out, but it won't allow you to achieve what we've set out to achieve. That's why work is a means, it's not the goal. We have to keep this in mind. Food, one of the needs that we have is food. Why do we need it? Because obviously if you don't have it, you won't live. And in order to achieve our purpose, we need to be living, right? But again, it shouldn't be the goal. Some people, you sit around them, it's happened to me on this trip. I'll tell you to make it, the people who are watching online, huh? No, it's none of you guys. They're not here, and then they all know, and nobody knows them, and nobody will ever find out who it is. I sat with them and they're like, have you been to Pizza Stop? And I was like, no. Have you been to, now I have to try and remember all the names that he told me. What's opposite Pizza Stop? There's another one, ice cream shop or something like that nearby. Have you been to that one? And I was like, no. Then he's like, have you been to Steak? What's the steak? It's Thomas's Tavern, something like that. John's Tavern. Have you been there? No. This, wow, mashallah, like this is like all we do the whole day. Like you're just going from one place to another. Pizza Hut's chocolate pizza. I was like, okay, I think it's enough. Like, obviously I didn't tell him. But if our life this person, inshallah, life wasn't like this. Maybe they're trying to make me as a visitor feel welcome. But if our life becomes like this, that all that we're thinking about is that I'm working today so I can go to a nice restaurant tonight. And then work the next day so I can order food that's really nice. We're working and doing everything based around food. Or for example, let's say you're a little better, you're cooking at home, but still your life is revolving around food. Food isn't something our life should be revolving around. Food is something that we use to achieve our goal. Does this mean we should just eat dry bread with salt the whole day? No, Allah has told us that we should enjoy our food, that's fine, but it shouldn't become an obsession. When is it an obsession? When it's taking up a good part of your timetable. It's taking up so much time in your schedule, whether it's flicking through different pages to find the best restaurant, or whether it's, for example, using, I don't know, what apps do they use to order food over here? Do you have an app to order food? Piki Piki, for example, going through Piki Piki, trying to find the best restaurant in town. Or for example, if it's just spending so much time every day or every 2 days, or every 3 days, you're at a restaurant, an hour and a half, you're spending, I don't know, I can't put a number in shillings because it doesn't apply to anyone, 60,000, 70,000 shillings you're spending, for example, on food like that. This isn't the goal. This is a means. That's one very important point. Second, we shouldn't overeat. We have a lot of hadith. In fact, this hadith I just saw today was very beautiful, where our Imam says, لو أن الناس قصدوا في الطعام لاستقامت أبدانهم. If people were careful in the amount they eat. The qasadu in Arabic would mean to eat in a way that you're not overdoing it, you're not underdoing it. You take the middle path to regulate your eating. If we regulated our eating, their bodies would have become stronger. And this is something we see today, right? You have a young person, how many issues in their body, right? And if you ask, for example, our parents' generation, this wasn't the case. They were much stronger. Why? One of the reasons is this, that we're not careful about how much we eat. The Imam is telling us that if we eat in a regulated amount, our body becomes stronger. Obviously, undereating is a problem as well. Somebody wants to become really spiritual. They stop eating, and soon they're on the hospital bed, and now they can't be spiritual at all, right? Because you can't recite Quran, you can't recite dua, you can't fulfill your responsibilities in the hospital bed. You're lying down in the hospital bed. And if you overeat also, it's going to cause issues. So we shouldn't overeat. We also shouldn't. So I said it makes the body weaker. But we should have the right amount to keep ourselves healthy. We can gauge this. How? If you eat one day, in fact, some of the ulama say, even try it out. For example, check how much you're eating. For example, let's say we eat a plate of, I don't know, rice and curry, for example, right? One plate, you ate it. The next day you felt a bit weak. No problem. Tomorrow I have 1.5. And then you felt too full. You felt heavy. No problem. Make it 1.25. Try and find the right amount for yourself. That this is the amount that makes me full. I'm not feeling weak, but I'm also not overeating. Obviously, eating halal food is something that we don't need to go into too much. And healthy and natural food. This is really important as well. If we want, we'll see, this is really strange. I don't know if you've realized our maraja, their age is amazing. Ayatollah Wahid Khorasani is over 100 years old. Ayatollah Sistani is 92 or 93 and healthy, alhamdulillah. Ayatollah Makarim Shirazi is about 97 right now, 96, 97. Ayatollah Subhani is 93, 94 just now. For example, Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli is about 90 just now. For example, and Ayatollah Nuri Hamadani is 95, and he says, Ayatollah Nuri Hamadani, search him. He's a marja. He's 95, and he says, I'm ready to challenge anyone to a mountain climbing race just now when I'm 95. Why is it that they're like this? Because they're careful about what they eat. I got a chance once to speak to Ayatollah Subhani, and this is what he mentions, that I'm careful about my exercise, I'm careful about my food. Ayatollah Subhani, when he's praying namaz, if you see him when he's getting up, bihawlillah, recently I've not seen him, but this is about 2 years ago. And when you're 95, 2 years still does make a big difference. It was 93, right? Or let's say max 90. And he jumps up in his prayer. Can you imagine a 90-year-old jumping up? You know, it's bihawlillah. I used to think his 2 feet are off the floor. Why? Because they're careful. They eat healthy food, they keep up their exercise, and this allows them to make spiritual progress. And then you see a normal person, 50, 60, they can't do anything. Yeah, because you didn't take care of yourself. You weren't careful about your body. So if we want to attain spirituality, we have to eat carefully. Two very important things that are mentioned by our ulama is watching out for how much oil we have. MashaAllah, Mahe Ramadan is a chance to have a lot of oil as well. And sugar. These two, somebody will be like, what's left? Oil and sugar, what's left in our lives? But these two are really important. If we control the amount and the type, it will make a big difference in our life. Number 3, hygiene and cleanliness. Alhamdulillah, we're good at this. We need to stay clean. If we stay clean, what happens? 1, it gives you energy in life. Have you seen sometimes when you haven't got a chance to shower, let's say something's happened or something, you feel heavy. You feel like, you just don't want to do anything. You feel lethargic. But when you're clean, I don't know if everyone's like this, but for example, with some people, namely myself, if I haven't had a haircut in a long time, I feel very tight. But when you have a haircut, you feel fresh. This is for boys more, I guess. But these kind of things give you life. Others enjoy your company. If you hang around other people, if you're a clean person, they enjoy being around you. It's fun to be around you. But if you're not, it's not fun to be around you. And you have a more productive life. A person who's messy, not only in their own body, in their house. Now, when it comes to find something, when it comes time to find their book, let's say it's time to study. Okay, 10 o'clock study time. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Oh my God, where's that book? And you spend 15 minutes looking for that book now. And you wasted that 15 minutes. You had 20 minutes to study, 15 minutes of it went into looking for the book. And then 5 minutes at the end also you read, and then you threw it back somewhere in the middle of that mess. And the next time you have to spend another 15 minutes looking for the book. So we lose productivity, and productivity is key to having a good timetabled life. Clean. What should we clean? Clean yourself. What does that mean? Brushing your teeth, showering, combing your hair, cutting your hair, cleaning your clothes, your house, and other belongings. We have a lot of hadith about this. I'm not going to go into it because alhamdulillah, it's quite obvious stuff, I think. But we have a lot of hadith about brushing, about combing your hair, about cleaning your house, everything we have a hadith about, and very strong hadith as well. But inshallah, there's something that's obvious, we'll go ahead. Sleep. This is really important. Why do we need sleep? Obviously, if we don't sleep, we can't work, right? It energizes us. Without sleep, we can't continue life. We wouldn't be able to continue. We need a good amount of sleep. How much is a good amount of sleep? They say roughly 7 to 8 hours a day is good. Under 7 hours is usually not sufficient. Over 8 hours is usually too much. What happens if we sleep too little? Our body is damaged. It's bad for our body, and it reduces our productivity as well, because When now, for example, let's say you've slept less, you wouldn't be able to do your activities the same way that you did when you slept properly. What happens when you sleep too much? Again, it damages your body and it also reduces your useful hours. If, for example, you sleep 7 hours, 24 minus 7, how much does that leave? 17. Now, if it's 24 minus 9, you're left with 15. So you've wasted 2 hours just sleeping when it wasn't necessary. Sleep at a good time as well. The earlier we sleep, the better. Yeah.
Just a question on sleeping. There are some scholars that train themselves to sleep a certain number of hours. Is this something that is recommended, or is it something that we are training ourselves? Because after some time, if you keep sleeping 5 hours, it becomes normal and you are able to function. Are we limiting ourselves? Is this something Islamically recommended, or is it something to avoid?
Yeah. See, same with sleeping and the same with eating. We have to find that amount that's good for us. See, because eating is really easy. You tell straight away. Sleeping, usually it shows itself after a few days, sometimes even after a week, when a person crashes. That's why it's best that a person aims for 7 hours. 7 hours is usually a good amount. If a person, after sometimes, when they sleep slightly less, they're able to see that I'm actually productive, I can manage, it's okay to reduce. But to aim to reduce, for example, to come down to 6.5 hours or 6 hours and stuff like that, usually it's not positive. It usually doesn't work out. It usually backfires. The scholars, what a lot of them do say is that, and apparently this is medically also proven, I haven't seen it anywhere, any doctors can confirm, apparently as you grow older, the requirement for sleep reduces. So when a person reaches a certain age, the amount of sleep that their body requires actually becomes less, and so they can readjust to that amount. But for us, 7 hours is realistic. We can do everything we want with 7 hours of sleep. If we touch this too much and mess with this too much, we'll most likely crash. We'll most likely lose productivity. And it's got bad effects on the body as well, sleeping less. A person has asked on Zoom, young people say that we're in our teens. When we get married, we'll do all of these things, like keeping our room clean and other things. Let us be free just now. To a certain extent, all right. I mean, okay, if you want to be slightly more comfortable with yourself, you're young, you're on your own, okay. But see, there's certain limits. For example, somebody says, I'm not going to sleep properly. This is going to affect you for the rest of your life. It's not like, it's like, for example, somebody says, I'm young, I'm going to poke myself in the eye because it's fun. But you won't be able to see forever then, right? What's the point in that? You're hurting yourself. The same way, if you sleep less for a long time, it's going to affect your body. Bad eating habits going to mess up your body. Then it's not a surprise when, for example, you're 30, 35, and now you've got 5 medical conditions going in your body. You know, somebody's like, do you want to have chai? He's like, sorry, I can't have this. You want to have this? Oh, sorry, I can't have this. You want to have this? Sorry, I can't. Oh, you're 35, like, what's going on? Right? So anything that does have a carry-on effect, it's like poking yourself in the eye. Keeping your room clean and stuff like that. Again, if we instill this as a value in children, they'll enjoy doing it. They enjoy cleanliness. But if we don't put it as a value in them, then it can be slightly tough. This discussion would sort of more go into the discussion of child upbringing, but we have to be careful. The teenage is an age where we should also give certain freedom, and we can't enforce everything on the child. Obviously, there's a discussion on its own. Inshallah, the AYN brothers can think of keeping a session for that some other time. Okay. Sorry. So sleep. We finished sleep. Social relationships. How are we doing for time? Okay. Okay. We can go on to 5 past. 5 past. Okay. So we have 13 and 5, 18, 10 past. Okay. We have about 18 minutes left, roughly. Social relationships. Interacting with other people is another human need. We need it as humans. If we don't interact with other people, we lose ourselves. It gives us energy, even if a person is an introvert. Extroverts, obviously, they take energy a lot from other people. Introverts, even, they need interaction with other people. Yes, they'd like smaller crowds, they'd like more specific people, but we need to have interaction with other people. It's a necessity. If you remember the hadith we spoke about 2 days ago, 2 nights ago over here, one part of your day is supposed to be spending time with close friends that help you find your faults. being around other people allows for you to find your faults. If you just think you live on your own the whole time, you're ignorant to your own faults. When you spend time with other people, for example, I'm spending time with a person that's so kind to other people that I find I'm not the same. I'm spending time on the flip side with a person that's so rude to other people that I realize, alhamdulillah, I'm a kind person, right? By other people, through other people, we get to understand our faults and our strengths and weaknesses. And it allows society to fulfill its needs, right? When we have interaction with other people, we hear other people's problems, we're able to help them. They hear our problems, they're able to help us. Communication, interaction allows for society's issues to go away. Further than that, once you get married, or even if you're not married, family life depends on good communication interaction. When you're not married with your parents, have you seen the kind of person that walks into the house, salam mom, goes in their room, closes the door, until, for example, dinner time, comes out on the table to eat dinner with their phone out, eating dinner with their phone, finishes dinner, could have his mom close the door, back in the room. Of course, they're not going to have a good interaction, good connection with their parents. Of course, they're not going to benefit from their parents. And the same with a married couple. If a married couple thinks that they're not going to have time together, they're not going to speak to each other, they're just going to live happily, inshallah, just like that. Of course, that's just never going to happen. It's completely unrealistic. They need time together, a good amount of time every day, even if it's a small amount, to spend together, to discuss with each other. Children obviously makes it even more complicated. Children need a lot of time and a lot of attention. And if we don't give it to them, then they become into that child that closes the door and goes in the room on their own. So social relationships are one that's very important in Islam. It's required. I'm just doing a reminder back why we're opening all of these up. All of these are different parts of my timetable. I need to prove that these are necessary for me to reach my goal. That's why I start each of the slides, I start with necessity, need, right? This one as well, the same. 4 points why we need social interaction and relationships. There's 2 important points when it comes to socializing to have in mind. There's a comment over here. If social relationship is needed, we need to follow the rules between gender interaction, don't we? If yes, on what conditions do we need to do? It's very good. This is the exact topic that we're going into. So we have 2 conditions when it comes to socializing. One, taqwa. Remember, we're doing all of this to reach that goal. You can't do stuff over here that defies that goal, right? That doesn't make sense. It's like, for example, a person says, my goal is to, for example, earn this much money a month, $500, $1,000 a month. Perfect. You need to get a job. Okay. The job that I'm going to pick is a job that I have to pay to get a spot. Does that fall in line with the goal that you have in mind? Of course not. If you're going to pay, it's not even called a job anymore. It's more like you're asking for a service from them. Right? We're not going to achieve our goal like this. If our goal is actually to reach proximity to Allah, we have to follow paths that lead to that. And we have to follow Allah's instructions in all of these, in eating, drinking, everything. Right? One of them is social relationships. When it comes to, for example, dirty jokes, sometimes they're very common. Not only dirty jokes, backbiting, very, very, very common. Very common. Mixing with the opposite gender, again, very common. You know, we say we're doing social interaction, but she's just my cousin. But for example, but so many different excuses come out, right? She's this, I don't know. We're together in work. We have to be kind to each other. We have to speak to each other. See, Islam has limits when it comes to gender interaction. When it comes to discussion, that's a discussion that's necessary. It's something that has to be there. Even sometimes when you think necessary, we think very cold necessary. You know, for example, somebody at work tells you, how are you? You just look down like this. And then she tells you, for example, you know, can you please send this email to this person? Then you do it. And you don't even say sent back. You know, it's just like this. It's not like that, right? How are you? I'm good, thanks. The amount is polite, fine, let's finish, the end of the story. But for example, I'm good, fine, how are you? Do you know where I went this weekend? Where did you go? Why do you have to do that? It wasn't called for, right? Even she's a bit like, you know, why is he being like this? Right? She starts getting ideas. Gender interaction has to be observed. In places, for example, where there's a chance of us falling into sin, it's haram. End of story. Let her be your cousin, let her be whoever she wants to be. It's haram. If you want to do this haram, no problem. A person can do it. They won't reach that goal. Our whole discussion is to reach that goal, what do I need to do? So number one, when it comes to gender interaction, we have to observe the boundaries set by Islam. I hope that answers the question that was asked. I'll just read the question again. If social relationship is needed, we need to follow the rules between gender interaction, don't we? If yes, on what conditions do we need to do this? So I think I answered that. Number two, that's the rule in all of the responsibilities. Don't let this social interaction relationships affect our other responsibilities. You see somebody 2, 3 hours, 4 hours they're spending with other people, and then when it comes to studies, they're missing out. They're helping so many people in their studies. Those people are scoring well. They're not scoring well anymore, right? This doesn't work. We have to balance these, right? Help other people, also make sure we're fulfilling our responsibilities. And choose company well. This is really important. The people, we spoke about this 2 days ago in the practical tips as well. The people that we choose to associate ourselves with and be around will heavily affect what our goal is and how strongly we want it. Heavily, heavily. Recreation and fun. We need to have fun. It gives us energy. We mentioned the hadith of the Imam, that through this, we're able to achieve and carry out the rest of our responsibilities, right? Remember this hadith? We spoke about it 2 days ago. It needs to be halal. Recreation is halal. And the advice is that to have real relaxation. Not when we think we're resting, but we're just training our brain. Movies, video games, social media, these kind of things. A lot of these aren't relaxation. Okay, maybe you can find a nice movie, watch it together as a family. That can be relaxation. But generally, this information overload that we have in our whole life, this isn't relaxation. A lot of people you see, after a tired, long day, they come home, they pull out their phone, they're on Instagram. That's not relaxation. Spend time with your family. If you can't go out into the open, alhamdulillah, over here, some of you, at least I know, have houses where you can go and walk around in the garden, pick a fruit off a tree maybe, right? That's relaxation.
Is there anything you can advise that is recommended by the scholars and also in the hadith? I know Ayatollah Khamenei is a fan of hiking. Is there something that's both recommended by scholars and also in our hadith?
Yeah. So that's the next one, everyone. Physical games, trips, time in nature. We have a lot of hadith about trips. We have a hadith that says, Safiru tasihhu. Travel, some people will be happy by hearing this. Travel and you'll feel a sense of health. It brings health to you traveling. Can I put the advert? Any travel agents on Zoom, you'll be happy by this. Right? Traveling actually brings health to you. It's good for you. But then again, we go and travel to which kind of places in the world aren't nice to travel to? Those places. Travel to the open. Travel to a place where there's nature. What's beautiful is to travel to a place where you get reminders. In the Quran, we have so many ayat that talk about traveling to a place where you look at the ruins of previous people. And I don't know if you've ever done this. I've actually got a chance to do this. I went to a place where there's a ruined town, and it's not been made into a museum where you have so many people taking photos that you lose the point. No, it was a plain place. And you saw these wrecked houses, and you really think that there were people staying over here. And it's a reminder for us. So we have traveling a lot in our hadith. Certain sports are in our hadith, we've heard. So, for example, horse riding is in hadith, swimming is in hadith, and swimming, horse riding. We also have shooting, although it was bow and arrow at the time, whether it applies to the shooting of today or not, that's a discussion. But we have these in our hadith. Swimming. Yeah, I looked at you and I said swimming. Physical games as well. A lot of the games that we have, online games don't do too much, they're not too helpful. But games, when you go out and you run around, you jog, you go up a mountain, like you mentioned, a lot of the ulama, they spend a lot of time mountain climbing. Climbing, I mean hiking, right? That physical climbing is quite tough, but walking, going up a mountain, like what's it? Missouri. That's physical needs. That's the base. Once we've completed these, now We're that human that's been satisfied. Now we need to aim further. But pay attention, just by doing those itself, because it's in the path of us aiming further, itself has a reward. Itself is a part of the movement. It's very different when I go to work because everyone does, and because, oh, fine, I need to pay my bills. Or when I go to work because it's something that I feel will help me achieve my goal in life. Very different. Remember the verse of Surah Qasas, وَابْتَغِ فِي مَا آتَاكَ اللَّهُ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةِ. From everything that Allah has given you, seek the akhirah. It's very different. Even, for example, when it comes to playing a sport, sometimes you play a sport just for the enjoyment. You know what happens? Let me tell you a real thing that happens. On that day, if your team plays badly, you're extremely frustrated. You're extremely angry. You have a very bad day. But if you're playing sports to strengthen your body, whether your team wins or not, you've achieved your purpose. And if you win, you're extra happy. Now, let's move on to the spiritual needs. One, we need to gain knowledge. What's knowledge? Why do we need to gain knowledge? What's the necessity of it? The necessity of knowledge is that knowledge shows us the path. What you're doing just now is gaining knowledge, right? We're here to learn about what Islam has to say about the different needs of a human. And this allows us to plan our lives better. Knowledge is a tool that we use to achieve. Knowledge is understanding the path that we must tread upon. A person says, knowledge isn't important. We say, okay, take this example. You want to travel to a certain city. And it says, okay, fine. I get in my car and I start driving. No, that doesn't work. You have to find out which way you're going. No, I'll just go on my own. I'll figure it out. It's likely that they end up completely in the opposite direction that they wanted to go in because of a lack of knowledge. We have to have knowledge to understand what the path ahead of us is. But now, can I read anything? That's a question. No, we say read relevant material that helps us in this goal of ours, helps us achieve this purpose that we have. It should be structured as much as we can if we're able to. If you just read random things that are good, you won't benefit as much as if you have a certain program when you're reading. You read in a structured manner. For example, a mistake that could happen is that you read a higher level book before reading the lower level book, and you won't understand it. Even though it's a good book, you won't understand it. If it's structured, these issues don't come up. So just some suggested titles in 3 different topics that we have. We have ahkam, aqaid, akhlaq. These are the 3 dimensions of a human. Their actions, their understanding, and their traits. We spoke about this tonight as well. Those of us over here. Ahsan, I've got a question about desires. I've not gone into that, but that's also one of the type of the physical needs. The discussion is similar to eating in that sense, but I've not gone into that just now. We can have a separate discussion on that. But the way to look at it, you can understand from the way we've discussed so far. It's nothing out of the picture. But that's good that somebody caught this.
I spoke to a few scholars when it came to gaining knowledge without an institution or any structured form of academic support. He said it's very important to have a teacher. You are not doing any serious learning without a teacher and a structured form of learning. How do we achieve this from here?
See, ideally, we'd have some sort of teaching. That would be the best way. And right now with Zoom, like right now for some of us, is something that's really practical, something that we can easily do. We can easily set up classes, online sessions. There's so much online content already online. To go through this in this sort of a manner is much better, obviously, if a person can do that. This is the second stage if a person can't, but that would be the best. One is that to have a teacher in that sense. Second is a guide. Means that I'm reading this book, what should I read next? I finished this book, what should I read next? In this book, this didn't make sense to me. Can you explain it? In this book, this seems to contradict that book. If you have a guide, that would be excellent as well. With the internet, again, your hands are much more open than they were previously. So I've just written some quick titles over here. I'll skip this because this is not our main discussion. The PowerPoints are sent out, so you can look at it later as well. The last part that we're going to speak about, number 9, is worship. We need to have spiritual progress with intellectual progress. See, all of this together is a base. The knowledge shows us the path. Now, everything is done. We've got the base. You've got the mount. The car is ready. It's full of fuel. Perfect. The road is clear. What's left? Go. Right? That's what's left. Go. Move. I'll skip this for now. So, ibadah means to follow Allah's orders, and it means servitude. See, right now, what have we done till now? We've got the car ready, we've filled it with petrol, everything's ready. The road is obvious. What does that mean? 20 kilometers straight, 3 kilometers right, turn left, roundabout, second. That's all the road. What does that mean? In my life, don't get angry at that person. Make sure you don't insult this person. Pray your namaz just now. These are the turns, right? These are the orders of Allah, right? In our life. Do this deal, don't do this deal. Go to the mosque on this day. For example, go visit this person. These are all the different instructions Allah has according to what we spoke about. All of those give us instructions. Sleep gives us instruction at 8 o'clock. Okay, that's unrealistic. 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock is starting to give us instructions. Sleep, 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 sleep. Right? 5 o'clock is nearing namaz time, 5:30, 5:45. Instructions are coming. Wake up, wake up, wake up. This is the road. You've learned the road. At 5:45, you've finished your prayer. Let's say, for example, now you've set time. Let's say somebody wants to sleep at that time again, fine. If they don't have another chance, they sleep. If they don't want to sleep, they wake up. Breakfast signals are coming up, right? In the month of Ramadan, they come up, we ignore them, right? The breakfast signals are coming up. These are all the orders that we have. Allah is telling us to do these things. If we follow these orders in the right way, then this is following the path. If we don't care about our wajib and haram, even the mustahab actions that we do, they won't have the effect. What's necessary is we need to put time aside for this. We need to put time aside for spirituality. Now, what do we mean by put time aside? Let's just go through some quick mustahab actions. What about, should we exercise control? Okay, this question is a good question. I'm not going to reply it over here. Please, how should I reply this? It's a good question, but I don't think it applies to everyone. Okay, if you can send me a message, the brother that sent this question, if they can send me a message, and then inshallah, because my WhatsApp number is on the group as well, I'll reply it on WhatsApp, inshallah. Okay, let's move to the last part. So we said we have to act on our wajib and haram. Where do we get this from? From knowledge. When we understand what the path is, we'll understand what we need to do. But alongside this, there's certain mustahab actions that we should have as well. And we'll just list these, and this is the end of the presentation for today. Accounting for ourselves. One of the mustahab actions that's important for us is to keep tabs. Am I managing, am I not? We spoke about this 2 days ago as well. Review. Accounting by looking at the wajib and haram. And today, did I do my wajib and haram or not? I had an instance where my parents told me something. Did I scream back at them? Did I follow it? If I did, alhamdulillah. If I scream back at them, do istighfar, try and fix it for the next time. This is our goal, right? We want to achieve. Vigilance, be careful. This is one of the actions that we need to do. Be careful of ourselves. When a person knows that they're going on a path, they know that this path has a lot of turns, they need to be awake, right? If you miss a turn, sometimes 20 minutes, half an hour, you're looking for the U-turn to go back and find that turn again. You need to be awake. Reciting Quran is very important, especially in this month, even more important. Du'as, calling out to Allah is very important. Ziyarah, connection with Ahlul Bayt is very important. And finally, making the most of special times and places. For example, holy months and holy places. So I think how long do we have? I think we're over, right? I finished. Oh, good time. 8, perfect. Okay. So we're done with the presentation. To summarize in 30 seconds, in order for us to reach our goal, which we have to first internalize and make our goal, we need to fulfill our physical needs so that our body is able, and we need to follow our haram and wajib in all of the aspects of our life, and that is following on the path itself. Although we need knowledge as our torch to show us which way to travel. Okay, please recite a salawat. Allahumma salli ala
اللهم صل
Muhammad wa ala
على
Muhammad.
محمد
If there's
وآل
any questions,
محمد.
anything, maybe we can take for a few.
Yeah,
Or-
if there's any questions on Zoom, or if anyone has any questions here, we can take a few. If not, then inshallah we'll thank Sheikh for a very enlightening session. Inshallah, we have one more session tomorrow with Sheikh. I believe it's a more of a discussion sort of session. And just a reminder that there is another session after this, as in another course starting after this with Sheikh Kazim Bojani, which will be on whether we should keep hold of our identity as Khojas. Over time, we are slowly letting go of our identity as Khojas. Our grandparents could read and write our mother tongues. Our parents can speak it. We can barely speak it. What about the next generation? What is going to happen? So we're encouraged to please sign up for that as well, inshallah. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Asante.
So there's one question on Zoom. Because of time, I'll ask again that this person sends it as a message, and I'll try and reply separately, because if I try and reply this just now, it'll take quite a lot of time. So if it's not a problem, please do send this as a message. Inshallah, I'll try and reply to it, inshallah. Slides are going to be shared, inshallah.